Hello and warm welcome to everyone joining us today. I'm your host Dalvinder Kaur from lovely Professional University. Let's dive into today's topic, game production and monetization in the Indian game industry. Before we proceed further, allow me to introduce the experts of the day, Mr. Sandeep Kumar Singh, Assistant Professor and HOD, School of Design, Multimedia and Design, lovely professional university. With 20 plus years of experience in the animation industry, beginning his journey in 2005, he has significantly contributed to renowned animation institutions like MAC, Aptech, and Framebox Animation. So now I would like to introduce Mr. Ashnoor Singh also in this webinar. He's Assistant Professor, School of Design, Multimedia and Animation, lovely professional university. He has designed courses and mentored aspiring game developers. Mr. Ashnoor has developed several games including Lost in Escape, Contact Below, Turtle Racer, and more. So now I would like to introduce the admission nominee also in this webinar, Mr. Chandan Agarwal. With 14 years of experience in career guidance and counseling, Mr. Chandan oversees outreach initiatives across Punjab and leads the call center team, driving admissions and enhancing the university reputation. Before we proceed further in today's session, I would like to request everyone for any questions. You can write in the chat box or in the Q&A box, and same will be addressed from my side in the end of this webinar. Now I'm going to hand over this session to our experts, Mr. Sandeep Kumar Singh and Mr. Arshnoor Singh, and it would be an absolute delight to listen from them. Over to you both.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandeep, and my apologies for not having me on the camera because I am facing some malfunction on the camera. I will try to join with the camera also from my phone. So I hope for now that is okay. I will try to join with the mobile also. So thank you, ma'am, for the lovely introduction that you gave us. I'm audible to everybody.
Yes, you're audible. You can continue, Mr. Sandeep.
Okay. Great. So as I have my colleague Mr. Ashnu sir as a expert over here. So since I just wanted to set up a small pace for this session, like gaming is very, it has been happening. It has been a kind of, very happening career for many people who are like gamers and non-gamers, all of the fraternity around the world. So please make sure that playing a game and making game are two completely different things. It's same like watching a movie and making a movie are two different things. So people who want to go into this field should have passion to know how the game works rather than how good I am or somebody while playing the game. So creating a game has multiple areas which require you to focus on the functioning of the game. So rather than only enjoying the game, one should always be very curious how the game works. So that's a very important point I wanted to share with everybody. And now I think sir is ready with the presentation. Ashnu sir, over to you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am, for the introduction, and thank you, sir, for setting this perfect transition for my presentation. Yes, as Sir said, I would just like to talk about that for a bit. That making a game and playing a game are two very different things. One thing is entertainment, another thing is a lot of hard work and effort by not just one, by an entire team. It takes a while to build even a small game. Even small games that are published on mobile can take up to 6 months by a small team. So it's a lot of hard work. Okay, with that being said, let me move over to the actual presentation of the day. And the topic that I have here to first talk about is game production and monetization in the Indian gaming industry. The idea about this topic is that there's a lot of resources online that talk about technical aspects of game design and development. Like that's something that we also do here at our degrees and our programs. We teach about all the technical requirements and learning how to do those things so that you can make a game. But one thing that's fairly under discussed, both online and in other universities outside, which is the business aspect of a game. Because at the end of the day, when you're paying a team to make a game, the idea is that when the game launches, it makes you more money than you spent, right? Because at the end of the day, game development is also a business. So how exactly does the business side of this works? How do games make money? What are some strategies that companies use both in India and outside India? How are those strategies different? Why are they different? We'll talk about all of that in this session. Yeah, and yes, of course, if you have any questions, keep on leaving them in the chat. I will look at all the questions right after the presentation is complete. So let me start. This is just our contents. These are the five main things that I will be talking about, which is what exactly is game production, what exactly do we mean, what exactly is monetization, like what does that word mean with regards to actual tasks. Like we do say, let's design the model, as well. So, first things, what is production? Production essentially in game development, it's about management. It's another word for managing, but specifically your team and your project. Now, the reason why this is a little bit different than your regular managers is that a producer in a game company, in a game development team, needs to understand a lot more things than just regular management. They need to have a very good understanding of programming. They need to have an understanding of how art is made. They need to have an understanding of design. And possibly they also need to have an understanding of audio, animations, voice acting, and everything, because at the end of the day, it is the producer's job to be able to manage the time of every single person in all of these roles. And that's one thing that producers two bullet points in this slide. Third thing, budget management. Now, a lot of the times when a game is being created, you don't have an infinite supply of money that, let's say, we set a deadline of 6 months to make a game. Well, if you don't make the game in 6 months, a lot of the times you don't have more money left to pay the team. And obviously, if the team is not being paid, the game is not being made. So the budget management part is also incredibly important and critical. Uh, you have to finish the game in time, and all of these things are managed in game production and by game producers. So the question is, how does one become a game producer, right? This sounds like a very exciting role about being able to manage a large team, being able to work with a large team. Uh, there's a couple of things that you need to keep in mind, because a lot of the times when people listen about the roles of a producer, they think that a producer can just tell the team, make this or don't make that. It usually doesn't work like that. The game designers are the ones designing the game. The producers usually don't have a call that, okay, we're not going to make this, we make that. That usually doesn't happen unless absolutely necessary. So the job of a producer is not to decide what the game will be; it's to manage everybody's time. Uh, so that's one distinction that I wanted to make. Now, coming back to how do you become a producer if you're interested in this? Well, the first thing is, since you need to know about a lot of other fields, one pathway that many people take is that they go work in a gaming company as a artist or a designer or a programmer or in any other role. They take some time, they gain some experience, they learn about all fields, and then by the time they have like a good amount of experience, like 10 years or maybe a little bit more than that, they become a producer. They try to move into the job of a producer. There's another pathway, which is associate producer. Now, this specifically happens in like really large companies, companies so large in which that a single producer requires extra help just to be able to manage his small team. And there's many companies like that. For example, Rockstar, Ubisoft, and these kind of large companies, and many other in the US, obviously. These kind of large companies require associate producers. So people that don't have that much experience, but they understand a little bit about all of these things, they can apply for an associate producer position, in which an associate producer works with the lead producer for a certain amount of time. They gain experience in production, and then they can directly go towards production. And that's essentially what this role is about. Now, again, just saying this is about management. So a lot of the times, the only thing producers do is they look at Excel sheets full of data, timeline, tasks. Is if you're not excited by the idea of looking at too much Excel sheets, this may not be for you, because, as I said, it's time management. It's just exciting that you're working with these people, but it's the other people that are making the game. You're just managing their time. And the last point is, why do we need it? Like, why can't people just manage themselves? Why do we need another person to manage the time? Well, that's because you want the people that are working on the game to just work on the game. You don't want them to be able to managing others, because then the amount of time required to make a game increases, right? Because now there's more things to be done by the same amount of people. So usually speaking, in a large enough team, you have some sort of a producer that manages the project, that manages the time of everybody involved. Moving on, what is monetization? So, as I said before, it's really all about money. It's a business, right? You need to be able to make money. That's the only way you can sustain making a game, right? It's not fun. It's not the same as like playing a game, because playing a game is entertainment, but making a game is serious thing. Your game has to make money, or you will go bankrupt. So the question is, how exactly do we make money, and how much money do games really make? Like, is there like a estimate that this kind of a game only makes this much money, or some other game only makes that much money? That's something that I will talk about right now. But yes, we're going to take a look at both of these questions in a little bit more detail as this presentation goes on. So let's talk about some very famous games. Elden Ring, which was Game of the Year, I think, a couple of years ago, one of the it's widely considered as one of the best games in recent times. It's made by From Software from Japan. Its lifetime earning, so since the day it was launched till today, it's $800 million, which is a lot of money, which is a huge amount of money, right? Because again, it's an incredibly good game, but it made that much money over its lifetime, which was at this point it's about 2 years or something like that, 2 years and some change. Uh, the next example, let's talk about GTA 5. Now, suddenly from 800 million, we have shifted to 8.5 billion. That's not 100 times more, that's more than 1,000 times than what Elden Ring did. But then again, GTA 5 has been around for a lot longer. This game was released more than 10 years ago. It's been going on for 10 years. It's received regular updates. It had a great storyline when the game was launched. And since it's made by Rockstar, they have a brand. So everybody knows that since it's made by Rockstar, it's going to be a really, really good game, and that guarantees sales. Now, let's talk about something a little bit even more insane. EA Sports. Now, EA Sports comprises of FIFA games and the Madden games and any other sport games that EA makes. EA Sports makes 1.1 billion annually. That is more than the lifetime earning of Elden Ring. They make that much every year. This number is from April 2020 to March 21, so this is slightly outdated. That number could have reduced, could have increased a bit, but it's ballpark in the same range, about a billion. And then let's go to Diablo 4. Diablo 4 is made by Blizzard. Again, this game made 600 million in the first 6 days of launching. So it's again, these are a lot of big numbers, and they sound almost like too big to understand. Like, this number is so big we don't even know how to measure it. Like, what can you do in that, right? How do they make that much money? What are other companies doing? How do they make money? What are their strategies? So let's talk about that a bit. I'm first going to talk about the 6 different approaches. There's many more approaches, but these are the 6 main approaches that game development companies or game publication companies take to create money. The first approach is the simplest approach to understand, which is pure sales. What means is that you create a game and you decide a cost. Let's say one copy of the game is $20, right? And I put this game on a platform like, let's say, Steam or Epic Games or maybe something for Apple. So number of copies sold multiplied by the cost of a unit, that's how much money I'm going to make. That's pure sales. There's nothing else going on, just the cost of the game multiplied by how many copies did you sell. There are some things that reduce it. For example, if you launch your game on Steam, Steam takes a 30% cut. So if you make $100,000, Steam will take 30,000 and 70,000 goes to you. There are other caveats. So, for example, Unreal Engine and Unity are both free to use, but they also have certain conditions. If your game makes more than $1 million, then Unreal Engine and Unity are not free. Then you have to pay them royalties. I think Unreal Engine's royalty is about 5 to 12%, something like that, and Unity is about in the same range. But Unity also has a paid plan in which you don't have to pay any such royalty. So in that case, you just have to pay a subscription to Unity. So approximately speaking, if you make $100,000, you're gonna have to give about 30 to 40% to other companies that are providing you all of these services, and you get the 60% through pure sales. Okay, now let's talk about the approach two. Second approach is sales and IAPs. Now, I apologize for the acronym there. I don't like to put acronyms because, it's better to just say the full name. And let me explain that. IAPs stand for in-app purchases, so things that you can purchase in the game. I will call it IAPs from now because in-app purchase is just too long to speak. So IAPs and sales. So the idea in this one is that, let's say I make a game that anybody can purchase or they can play. Once they have purchased the game and they're playing the game, they can also purchase other items inside the game. And I'm sure people that play a lot of games are familiar with this. They know exactly what I'm talking about. This happens all the time. It's a very common thing in today's gaming landscape. Now, sales and IFPs, again, this is very similar to the first approach, except it's not just the sales. Whatever people sell or purchase through your game, you get that additional revenue that is constant. So sales only happen when people buy, but like let's say somebody bought your game in January and they keep on playing it, and then in February they decide, oh, you know what, I like this item in the game and I want to buy it. So you have a slightly more consistent and continuous revenue stream. Okay, approach three. Now, this is another very famous approach. This is called the free to play and IAPs approach. IAPs, again, as we know, in app purchases. Now, cosmetics slash PTW. PTW here stands for pay to win items. So, let me explain what all of this word salad is. Free to play means I made a game, I'm going to put it on a store, but for free. This is opposite of approach 1 and 2. In approach 1 and 2, to play the game, people have to purchase it. In approach 3, they do not have to purchase it. They can directly play the game. It's a free to play game. But inside the game, there's a whole store for IAPs. Like people can purchase characters, skins, cosmetics, weapons, but in many games they can also purchase items that make them stronger. These are called the pay to win items, and these are very common in mobile games. At least in the PC industry, pay to win items are something that everybody hates. But it makes money, so some developers do it still in the mobile gaming industry. All right, now approach four. Okay, this is for an even more consistent revenue stream. Now, subscriptions. The idea here is, let's say that I created a game, and instead of having an IAP store, inside the game I have something that I can pay in monthly or a weekly or a bi-weekly amount of money to, like a battle pass or something like that. The idea here is people play the game. Okay, they could have paid for it, the game could have been free, but once they start playing, you get the player to subscribe to some game service, like let's say could be a battle pass, could be simply a content drop that happens every 2 weeks. Sorry, somebody has a question?
No, I think there's no question.
Okay. So yes, approach 4 is essentially just on top of approach 3, 2, or 1. So you now have a subscription inside your game. And I'll give some examples of the games that do this in the slides that are upcoming. All right, approach 5. Now that is a free-to-play game, but with advertisements. Now these advertisements could give you a reward, or they could not give you a reward, and you just have to watch the ad. And we all know what kind of games these are. These are the mobile games. But yes, we'll get to that as well. And the last approach, which is you launch the game on something like a pass, like an Xbox Game Pass or the Apple Arcade Pass. The idea here is that are these passes themselves are a service, so people can play like pay like $10 or $20 to Xbox Game Pass or to Apple Arcade, and they can play as many games as they want. And then Apple pays the developer for putting their game on Xbox Game Pass or the Apple Arcade. And this is a very lucrative market, and not a lot of, in fact, there's only one company in all of India that has been able to do that. No other company has done that, and we'll talk about that too. All right, so now let's talk about the Indian player base. Now, when you're designing the monetization for any player base, some of the things, again, these are not the only three things. You think of a lot of things, but I'm only taking three examples here. There's purchasing power. So the idea is your player base, how easy it is for them to purchase the game or items in the game. And the factors in this include age, income, background, and time. Age, as in if the players of a game are really young, like they're children, they probably don't have access to credit cards or debit cards to make a payment, right? Then another option is income. If the player that's playing your game is again a child, they don't really have an income, they're a dependent. It could be the other way around too. If it is an adult, do they have enough income to purchase things in your game? Then the next thing is background, and this is more of a cultural thing which is slowly changing. Is that in some places it is just considered like a waste of time to play games, which is understandable in some aspect, but it's entertainment. It's the same as watching a movie or playing any other sport outside. It's just a different way of entertaining or taking a break. And the last thing is time, which is how much time you're putting in the game, and that's the second thing I'm discussing too. Normally speaking, people that are spending a lot of time on your game are more likely to spend more on your game. If somebody spends a very little amount of time, they're probably not going to spend a lot of money on your game either. And the last thing, which is cost, and this is, well, a slightly more simple thing to understand. Whatever you're selling, whether it's a game or an IAPs, is it priced fairly? And of course, there's many factors like this, like the age, income, background, and time that come into play here. But it's something to consider when you do this. And the last thing about this slide, which is what the slide shows, what exactly are Indian companies doing? So in India, we do one of three main things. The first thing is in-game advertisements. Now these are all those mobile games that you've tried to play. You play 2 rounds and an ad shows up, and then you have to see the ad and then play the game again. Uh, Everybody hates it, but there's a very good reason for it. The reason is the user doesn't have to pay. A child that is playing the game, they can watch an ad, and if they click on an ad, that generates money. They don't have to hit any credit cards, they just have to play the game. So it's the easiest way to do it, but also the most annoying for the player. The second one, IAPs and in game subscriptions, which is, you already know, as you see the examples, BGMI and Clash of Clans. BGMI has an entire store of things that you can buy. They keep making new items for the store every month, every 2 months, and people keep on buying these things, and they generate revenue. Clash of Clans has a subscription model. They have a pass in which you can pay a monthly or bi-monthly amount that gets you constant stream of new items, and that resets after a certain amount of time. And the last thing, now this is what I was talking about, subscription models. Apple Arcade is a thing to which you can subscribe with a certain amount of money. and you can access any game within Apple Arcade. Apple Arcade pays its developers for publishing on Apple Arcade. Now, obviously, publishing on Apple Arcade is very, very difficult, so much so that in all of India, including all gaming companies in India, there is only one company that is able to successfully publish on Apple Arcade. That company is called Lucid Labs from Delhi. And again, the idea here is that for Apple Arcade, your game has to be very, very polished. It has to be a top notch game. It cannot have any ads, it cannot have any in app purchases. It should just be a good experience. And on top of that, whoever is publishing on Apple Arcade must be a company that have a good background. Like they already must have published a good bunch of games. Only then can you publish on Apple Arcade. And then other constraints for such things like Apple Arcade is that you want the game to be playable on every iPhone, every iPad, Apple TV, Apple Vision Pro, on all Apple devices, which creates it difficult because if you're a single person, how are you supposed to get all that equipment? How are you supposed to test your game for all of that equipment? So it's a very difficult thing to do it, but if you have the skill and you have the background, you have the people, there are new things that are coming along like these subscription services. Again, for now, only one company has done it, but I'm sure as time goes on, many more Indian companies are going to successfully publish their games on such subscriptions like Apple Arcade or Xbox Game Pass and so on. But yes, that's the end of this slideshow. If you have any questions, please ask. I'm more than happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arshnor Singh and Mr. Sandeep Kumar Singh. So now I would request to admission nominee Mr. Chandan Agarwal to be on the screen. Over to you, Mr. Chandan Agarwal.
I hope I'm visible.
Yes, you are visible.
I'm sharing my screen. Just a moment.
Yes.
Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to interact with the young minds. So, as we all know, Lovely Professional University is providing a wide range of programs, that is 200 plus program across 40 plus disciplines, and we have discussed something related to the how game design and effective in this like era. Moreover, in case of Lovely Professional University, if I talk about, it's India's largest university in the private sector. We have around 35,000 plus students, those who are studying from 28 states of India as well as 50 plus countries. And it is not only this, if I talk about the ranking and accreditations, NAC, I hope perhaps it's a number one amongst all private university, which scored 3.68 score on the scale of 4, which is the highest NAC grade, right? If I further talk about the other approvals and recognitions, that is universities approved from the University Grant Commission, as well as if I talk about the agriculture department, that whole school of agriculture is approved by the ICAR. ICAR is the Agriculture Research Accreditation Company. Not only this, if I talk about the BTech and MBA program, both are accredited from the NBA and further accreditations and approvals. You dream the discipline and we have a concerned approval. For example, if I talk about pharmacy, we have approval from PCI. If you talk about think about architecture, we have approval from Council of Architecture. So in each and every department, we have a concerned governing bodies approval with us. That will give you the better edge over the other students because we will be following the curriculum designed by those approved and designed by the concerned governing bodies. And these are few rankings you can see. We are at number 16th in India in case of NIRF ranking, in case of pharmacy, 19th in law, 22nd in agriculture, and 27th as an amongst all government and private universities overall rank of LPU. Right. Moving further, if I talk about the further ranking, the Times Higher Education ranking, these you can see on your screen, 99th in the world and 6th in India. Not only this, if I talk about the further facilities available in the campus, it's a very happening campus. Modern infrastructure with extensive libraries, advanced labs, and research centers. Recreational and sports services are also available, like sports complex within a campus is available. And not only these facilities are not for the at a school or college level. It is these kind of facilities you may witness at the Olympics level, that is at international level facilities are providing within a campus. You can see some glimpse of the LPU sports activities. You can see these are the residential facilities. Again, 20,000 plus students are residing in a single campus. Perhaps we are providing Asia's largest residential facility, right? In-house laundry is there, apartments are there, mess facility, gym facility. And if I talk about research and innovation, 26,500 plus publications we have so far, right? And not only this, out of these publications, you can see 178,000 Scopus citations are there, which is a big thing for any university. And then funded projects, you can see the numbers IPR granted to 192. That is again a big thing for any university. Moreover, we are well known for the placements. That is why most of the students are coming to us. And why placements are actually, like the number is so high in LPU, just because we are not only uh, g- providing the placement, not only the companies are visiting, but we are developing the skill in the students. Only that thing attract the industry towards the LPU to hire the students from LPU. So you can see few examples. Our robotic students had got a package of 1 crore, and you can see further Chiri Sarvana got Vishnu got the 2.5 crore package in a domestic company. And it is you will surprised to know the whole city's CTC is 2.5. There is no allowances or other things are included in this. It is exact CTC in the Indian currency, that is 2.5 crore, which is a big thing. And not only this, LPU overall placement, you can see there are so many records we have so far for the in case of placements. And that is the reason we got maximum admissions through references, right? You can see other success stories on your screen. These are the well-known faces. Everybody knows about these faces. They are the visitors of LPU. They visited LPU campus, right? You can see seminars, workshops, conferences. These are the daily routine works, right? You can see, you can witness all these things in your daily routine in the campus, right? Scholarship opportunities, yes, that is again a most important sector for any kind of student for joining any university. So we are providing scholarships up to 100%. Special scholarship for toppers of education boards. If you are in top 20 students in case of board toppers list, then you're totally, we will be waiving off the 100% fee waiver is there. Not only this, rather in such some cases, we are also providing the residential facility, that too free of cost to the students under the scholarship. Similarly, there are so many other ways on which we are providing scholarship. If any students parents are teacher or in defense or belongs to the defense families, even then there are certain scholarships. Not only this, we have our own exam LPUNS. On the basis of that, we are having certain scholarships up to 60 to 70%. And we are also considering the scholarships on the basis of last two qualifications, which means if I'm targeting any UG program, my 12th percentage will also be considered, my 10th percentage will also be considered. So you can see few renowned faces again. Neeraj Chopra, gold medal, javelin throw, everybody knows. Again, LPU alumni. Present hockey team proudly saying more than 6 members of the present hockey team, including Captain Harman, belongs to the LPU. So these are certain other achievements you can see. Let's go live. We have an official website. Our website name is www.lpu.in, right? If I click on this lpu.in, once you click on this, under the admission section, you are supposed to click on the regular programs. As soon as you will be clicking on the regular programs, if I'll further scroll it down, you can see multimedia and animation, gaming, graphics, and UI UX. Click on this discipline. You will further see there are two professional degrees that we are offering. One is BDES gaming and the other one is BSc gaming design. The duration of the program is again different. BSc is a 3-year program, whereas this what I say BDES is a 4-year program in case of design. Just one moment. If I click on this, you can see again gaming part. If I click on the BSc gaming, you can see the eligibility portion. If you have a 90% or above in your 10 plus 2, directly you need not to appear any entrance exam and you can take admission with us. But if you have less than 90 or your result is awaited, in that case, what you can do, have to have either undergraduate NIFT exam that need to be clear, or if you have appeared for NID that need to be clear. Just one moment, sorry for the inconvenience. And at the same time, if you have cleared the UCD exam, we are also considering this national level testing. And in case if you don't have any of these, then our own entrance exam is there with the name of LPUNEST. So for the fees of, if I talk about the LPUNEST charges, that is the application fee, which is 1,000 rupees only. By applying this, this will solve two purpose. One is for eligibility and the other one is for scholarships as well. And apart from this, for appearing in this test, we just need bare minimum 50% marks in 10 plus 2 with the English as a subject. These are certain, highest package went up to 23.25 lakh in case of game design specifically. Further, if I'll discuss, these are you can check the subjects and curriculum from this, that first year, second year subjects what you will be studying, and these are certain discipline minors that you will be choosing during your degree. And now coming on to the fee structure part, 1,20,000 is a base fees, but need not to worry. This may not be applicable in every case because we, as I already mentioned, we are providing scholarships up to 100%. If your rank is in top 20 students of any board, right, then 100% fee waiver would be given. Then you need not to pay anything in that case. But if you are appearing in LPNS exam, that will be consisting of 100 marks. If you will be able to score 76 marks, and there may be a variation of 5 to 10 marks in the cutoffs. So if you'll be able to score this much, then you will be directly eligible for 60% scholarship, which means 70,000 per semester will be reduced, and you need to pay only 48,000 in that case. And most important thing, this scholarship will be applicable not only for one semester or 1 year, but for whole 4 years, means 8 semesters. This scholarship will remain applicable. That is the most important thing, because unlike other universities, there is no terms and conditions on this as well. That is also an important thing. Similarly, if you will not be able to score this much, but up to this much level, out of 100 in LPUNEST exam, and again there may be a variation of 5 to 10 marks, then 45% scholarship would be given. In that case, then applicable fee would be 66,000 per semester. And similarly for third category, 35% scholarship would be given. 78,000 will be the applicable fee. If you'll be able to score 58, again 10%, 5 to 10 marks variation would be there, right? Not only this, last and this, in case if you'll be able to score this much only, then 25% scholarship would be given, and applicable fee in that case would be 90,000. And again, as I already shared, on the basis of 10th and 12th, if somebody is having 80 to 89.99 percentage, the same scholarship slab would be applicable. If somebody is having 90 to 94.99, then 35% scholarship slab will be applicable. If somebody is having 95% to 97.99 percentage, either in 10th or in 12th, then this slab will be applicable. And if somebody is having 98% or above, then 60%, the highest slab would be given. So how to apply for that? You can see this orange color button, apply now. As soon as I click on that, one page will open. I just need to fill my basic details here: name, email ID, contact number, and then OTP will be there. Share the state and city, qualification, and then that is it. Once I click on apply now, it will ask for the 1,000 rupees, as I already shared. That is application fee charges. And in this way you can apply for lovely professional university. So thank you so much, Tilvinder ma'am and the other faculty members available. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity for interaction. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chandan Agarwal. Can we take questions now, Mr. Arshnoor Singh, Mr. Chandan Agarwal, and Mr. Sandeep Kumar Singh?
Yes, please. Any questions?
Can you please switch on your
Yes, yes, I'm about to.
camera, Mr. Arshnoor Singh? Yes. Gurpreet is asking here, what are the key stages involved in the game production pipeline within the Indian gaming industry, and how do they compare to global standards?
Okay, so that's a very loaded question. There's a lot to talk about here. That could have been a talk in of itself. But I'll try to keep this short so that I can answer other questions. Um, l- First of all, you have to separate this with regards to what are you making. In India, most companies here make mobile games, almost all of them. And that's not to say that they're not as good or they're not talented companies. They're all very, very talented people. But as I said, it's a difference in player base. Most Indian people play games on their mobile. Most of the population does not have a very strong computer to play, high graphics and intense games. So whatever you're making has to be accessible to the largest amount of people. That's your first constraint. The second constraint is how much money is your player base willing to spend, right? That's the second constraint. That also in India, the amount of people that actually spend on a game or an application is very, very small. In fact, if you just go to Google and Google Play Store, the Play Store that you have on Android phones, and just take a look at the games, the amount of downloads on games that are paid versus the amount of downloads on games that are free, that will immediately tell you the situation. Paid games have a significantly lesser amount of downloads, and I cannot stress this enough. Like the difference is very, very high. So that means if you really want your game to be played by a lot of people, the only option you got left is a free game. So how do you monetize in a free game? That's something that I talked about before. Since these constraints are set by the people around you in a sense that that's the only thing you can do, it limits as to how you're going to create a game. So since outside you have more options in terms of monetizations, these are the options that you got. It makes the changes. So how does the production happen for a mobile game? Essentially speaking, there's there's a few different kinds of mobile games. Let's just talk about the simplest one, which is hyper casual games. Hyper casual games can take somewhere between 1 week to 2 weeks to make. It's a very fast paced environment. You have to finish the game in a couple of weeks. The amount of overtime and the amount of hard work required here is insane. People often sometimes they go beyond 5 p.m., which is a normal thing in these fast paced situations. And the idea of a hyper casual game is people play for 5 minutes, they close their phone. Maybe the person is waiting for, let's say, a bus, or they're in a bus traveling from their work to their home. So they play the game for 5, 6 minutes and then they close the game. That's the kind of game a hyper casual game is. And its production schedule looks like you spend a couple of days on thinking what are you going to make. The next 7 to 8 days is about actually developing the game. The last 2 to 3 days is essentially you finishing or fixing small issues that are left and you publish it. That's it. There's no intense development method here that needs to be studied. It's a super straightforward and fast procedure. If you're planning to make something slightly more higher quality, like let's say an Angry Birds game, for example, an Angry Birds game requires a little bit more effort, it requires a little bit more time. That kind of a game can take up to 6 months to make. So any simple, high quality mobile game that has some sort of a something going on will take at least 6 months. That's something that you should assume by default. Anything less than that means you're just not making a product that big, you're making something smaller, and then we just go back to the hyper casual genre, right? So yes, in a larger game like an Angry Birds game, the production schedule looks like this. You spend a certain amount of time in pre-production, which is just planning what the game will be. Things like the design of the game, the characters, animations, sounds, art, all of that is fixed. You decided, okay, this is what we're going to use. This is how the game will look when it's finished. This is how the game will play when it's finished. You decide that, you put that on documents so that there are no doubts or changes later on. Once that is done, you start. You start somewhere around, let's say, after a couple of weeks of pre-production. You start working. It takes about 4 months to do most of it, and the last few bit, you either just extend your production or you do testing. Although that is the ideal situation, I will admit in actual production, people often not just people. I've been in those teams too that we just ignore testing a lot of the times because there simply isn't enough time. Things get extended, things get delayed. It's a very normal thing. So whatever time is left at the end, we use that for testing. And other developments, they just happen throughout this period simultaneously. Uh, I hope I answered your question. Uh, things outside, they're a little bit different. They're very similar, but different in regards to what kind of game you can make. But the process doesn't change that much. It is more or less the same thing: pre-production, production, and then testing with launching. Again, I hope I answered your question. If you have any follow-up questions, please go ahead.
Thanks so much. I hope, Gurpreet, you got your answer from our today's expert, Mr. Arshnoor Singh. Can we take the next question from Radhika? Yes, Radhika is asking what challenges do Indian gaming startups face in terms of funding and scaling their games for a larger audience?
For a larger audience and challenges in terms of funding. Okay. Uh, I will admit I am not fully equipped to answer the funding part because I have not been in a startup that was looking for funding, although I know some startups like that. Um, I'll answer what I know, although this may not be the complete picture. I may be answering a small part of a much larger situation. In funding, the first thing that any investor wants to look at when you're asking them for money is how are you going to make the money back? And that is essentially what this entire talk today was about. How do games make money? How are you going to, the money that you're spending building the game, how do you earn that back? If you can show your investors that, yes, this is my pathway, these are the things in my game that will make the money back that I'm spending, that's the biggest hurdle that's overcome. Investors a lot of the time really don't care about what the game is, they don't care about the game mechanics. What they care about is how is the money going to return. So that's a big thing, is that I think a lot of the people in that space are struggling with. There could be many other things that again I'm not aware of as of right now because I've not been in that situation yet myself. uh, the other aspect that you asked, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I think I forgot the second part.
Okay. Yes, what challenges do Indian gaming startups face in terms of funding and scaling their games for a larger audience?
Scaling for a larger audience. Okay. Scaling for a larger audience, it's a difficult job. It's not easy because you have an audience at the beginning and now you're going to go to a larger audience. The some things that you got to keep in mind is that it's a double-edged sword. A lot of the times, if you commit to one audience, you're most likely leaving the other people out, right? This is something that we see in like FPS competitive games all the time, which is that there's a very small percentage of people that are super good at playing the game. They're very competitive, and then there's a very large percentage of people that are that that are maybe not that good, that are not that competitive, but that large population brings in money. At the same time, the people that are the most passionate, they're a smaller population. So, like as a game developer, you got to choose. You have to find a balance in between that. For mobile games, essentially, especially the games made in India, I think audiences are decided firsthand, and generally speaking, you're not going to find yourself in a situation in which you're expanding for a larger audience. But if you want to, it is something that you have to keep in mind that it's at the risk of leaving your core player base. You might be telling them, okay, I'm not interested in this audience. I want to go towards that audience. I like that audience more. But if your question is about sticking to the same audience and still expanding your reach in that same audience, the answers are a lot simple. They're things like, let's say, advertisements, ads, competitions. You can showcase your game at many gaming events, which have these people and companies that come up, and you can showcase your game there. And people that are a part of that audience that are interested in that genre or in that subgenre, they will be like, okay, that game's looks cool, and I want to see if I can play the game or I like the game or should I at least try the game. That's one thing. The other thing that I can recommend is trying out a different platform. If your game is on Android, try to publish it on Apple App Store as well. Try to publish it on other places. Let's say maybe like a web build on places like Edge.io, or you can publish on Epic Game Store if the game can be transferred to PC, obviously. But yes, you can try launching it on multiple platforms as long as it doesn't breach the rules of another platform. So, yes, those are some ways that you can look into towards expanding your reach or reaching or scaling to a larger audience.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashnur Singh. I hope all the participants got their answers from our today's expert, Mr. Ashnur Singh. Thank you so much to all our experts, Mr. Chandan Agarwal, Mr. Ashnur Singh, and Mr. Sandeep Kumar Singh. As we come to the end of this webinar, I want to express my deepest gratitude to our experts for sharing their valuable insights and expertise with us. Your presence, enthusiasm, and active participation have made this experience truly special. Hopefully the attendees found this webinar to be valuable and will be able to utilize the information for better decision making regarding admissions. If anyone wants to access this webinar again, they can visit our website, that is lpu.in, or can be accessed on YouTube also. Stay connected with us for future webinars. Until we meet again, with the permission of my seniors, I would be signing off this webinar. Take care and goodbye. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.